this is going to be really hard for you to do. In just a few sentences, can you summarize what you have concluded about UFOs?
Because UFOs, unidentified flying object, and but when you really get into some of the deeper, more unusual case histories, yet, going back to that, what someone once described as incredible stories told by credible people from all determination we can make, and especially when you have multiple witnesses who say, yeah, I was there and I experienced this as well. There's a whole full spectrum gamut of weirdness that goes on in these things, and how to connect them. I think, as Keel had once stated, ufology probably should be a branch of parapsychology, because there's a lot of psychological, psychic elements that get swept under the rug. Everybody in the field talks about disclosure, thinking the government's covering things up, when we ourselves cover a lot of things up. We don't think we are, but we neglect and sweep under the rug things we don't want to deal with. If someone we're visiting who has this spectacular sighting event, and then they say, oh, by the way, I had this poltergeist activity afterwards, or I saw this strange cryptid of Bigfoot in my backyard, and well, that's not our field, So there really ought to be a lot of interdisciplinary work, and I think that's important in this area, that this thing is far more complex and perplexing than generally perceived by the mainstream.
Is any of it extraterrestrial? From your,
I've kind of thought that in reality, I don't know if it really matters, because if there is anything to the fact that we've all got this connection to the universe, the cosmos. I mean, we're made up of material from the Big Bang, right? And if this parallel world is interconnected, like non-local quantum physics or whatever, with other realms, they just come passing through, and perhaps they alter our perceptions so that we can fit into a certain frame of reference that we can deal with the intrusion. And some people are wired differently and just perceive more of that activity than most of us.
You just gave one of the most interesting answers I've ever heard, and I'll summarize your answer. And I asked you, was any of it? Did you think any of it, any of the UFO phenomenon, is extraterrestrial? And to summarize your answer without saying all the other stuff. The other stuff was good, but without saying the other stuff, what you said is, well, it doesn't really matter. That's a really interesting answer.
It's something, an interactive intelligence that's different from what we normally perceive. And what I find interesting, like Anthony Peake, his idea of an inner guidance that we have that we're usually not conscious of, and that may be the answer to things we call like reincarnation, that it's there from one life to the other, and it knows the future, and we're generally not conscious of it unless we're in some sort of altered state, hypnosis, automatic writing, a Ouija board, or whatever brings us to that point, or a geomagnetic anomaly.